Hey guys, welcome back to the BFS Fishing channel. In this video, we're going to be going over my top 4 picks for budget BFS reels under $100. The reason why I'm making this video is because I see a lot of people asking what reel do we suggest on a Facebook group called BFS Budget Finesse Fishing. Now this Facebook group is not my group. I am a moderator on it. It was created by a YouTuber named The Constant Angler, and I'll go ahead and just link his channel in the description below. Really great guy, really knowledgeable, and makes really great videos as well. So let's get into this. But before we do, what I want to say is that these picks are my personal picks. The order is in my personal preference, and so you may have different tastes, different requirements, different needs from these reels, and so they might be in a different order than what I'm going to be putting them in. Okay, so coming in at number 4 is going to be this reel, and this is the KastKing Valiant Eagle 2. So all of the reels in this video are going to be available on AliExpress. Anyways, the reason why the KastKing Valiant Eagle 2 comes in at number 4 for me is because of the fact that the reel is slightly overbraked. I did do a video recently showing how to reduce the braking force. There are a couple of ways you can do that, but I'll link that in the description below. So stronger braking does not necessarily mean that it is just a con. So it does make it harder to cast light lures down to 1 gram, but it still can. You're just going to have a little bit less accuracy, and then also you probably won't be casting it at nearly as far as some of these other reels. So that is the first downside to me, at least. The upside of the overbraked effect is that you're not going to have to deal with backlashes nearly as often as some of these other reels. With some of the other reels, you're going to have to, adjust the spool tension. You're going to have to adjust the brake settings a lot more than you would have to do with this reel. With this reel, it's almost kind of like you set it and you forget it, and then you cast and virtually no backlashes. It's a very low percentage. Okay, let's talk about the other con. So the other con is not that big of a deal, but it is a little bit of a con, and that is the fact that this reel is only a 7+1 ball bearing reel. Now that being said, the ball bearings in this reel are all in the right places. So the reel has a worm gear bearing, and it has bearings where the reel needs to be supported. So that's really great because it's the handle knobs that are actually missing the ball bearings, and those are easily changed out and upgraded to ball bearings. So the video where I show you how to reduce the brake force also shows how to swap out the bushings for ball bearings if you want to do that. The bushings are actually quite fine, to be honest with you. The other downside is something that KastKing has really improved upon in the past, but I still think that it's not quite there yet, and that's quality control. That being said, their customer service is second to none. I've had really, really great experiences with their customer service, and so if you encounter any issues with your KastKing reels, please go ahead and reach out to their customer service. I'm sure they will take care of you. If you buy it on Amazon, it's even easier, actually. Unfortunately, this reel is not sold on Amazon. So let's go to the pros of the reel. Well, one of the pros is that it comes in with 5 kilograms of drag strength. So that's the highest out of all of the other reels on this list. The other pro is that the ergonomics of this reel are very good. None of the other reels quite disappear into your hand when you're kind of holding the reel. The ergonomics are really good. The looks of the reel are really good. And I really enjoy the fact that this front nose cover is so far forward that you're not ever going to touch that line guide that moves back and forth. On some of the other reels, you actually do end up kind of touching that line guide, which is quite annoying. So let's move on to my number 3, and actually my number 2 pick. Unfortunately, I don't have the number 3 pick on hand, and so the number 2 pick is going to be a stand-in, and my number 3 pick is going to be the TSURINOYA Dark Wolf Ultra. So the reason why the Dark Wolf Ultra is going to be a number 3 pick is simply because it's kind of the oldest of these Dark Wolf Ultra variants. That being said, the reel is a great reel. It's a solid reel. It's a solid performer. And oftentimes you can find it at the lowest price out of all the reels on this list. So the TSURINOYA Dark Wolf Ultra does come with a brake system that has kind of had some controversy. It's a fake Shimano FTB braking system, which used to be dynamic in the past, but now they've changed it to a static style of that braking system. And the reason why is because the left-handed reels, their braking system actually didn't do what it was intended to do, which is where the brake shoes actually move out as the spool spins faster. On the left-handed versions, the brake shoes actually move in towards the spool shaft. So they're working the opposite of what they're intended to do. There's a great YouTuber who goes by the channel name Fishing Discoveries, who has a video that does a really, really good job of explaining that phenomenon, and I'll go ahead and link his video in the description below. The Dark Wolf Ultra comes in at a 7.1:1 gear ratio, and it's the only gear ratio offered in that reel. It is an unfinished reel, and I've had some interesting experiences with that. In the reel that I purchased, that I sold to a friend, I noticed that it's kind of turning a greenish hue, and I asked a bunch of people on the channel through a post whether or not they're experiencing that, and it seems like they are as well. So purely for that reason, the Dark Wolf Ultra is in my number 3 pick. Okay, so the number 2 pick is this actual reel, and this is the TSURINOYA Genius. Now the TSURINOYA Genius comes in 2 gear ratios, the Genius, which is an 8.0:1, and then the Elf, which is identical to this, except that it comes in a 6.4:1 gear ratio. The differences of this reel to the Dark Wolf Ultra is that this reel is obviously painted, which I actually quite like, and then it uses a different braking style altogether. So it goes back to the MagTrack style braking system, and I think that that's actually a plus because it is a tried and true, predictable and linear braking system, and it works quite well in this reel. So for that reason, the Genius steps into the number 2 spot. The other reason that the TSURINOYA Genius and Dark Wolf Ultra come in at my 2 and 3 spot is because they're coming in with 10+1 ball bearings. So that is a high number of ball bearings, but it is missing one ball bearing, which is in the worm gear area. So for those reasons, the TSURINOYA Genius / Elf and the TSURINOYA Dark Wolf Ultra take my number 2 and 3 picks. Now there are 2 other reels that I am not listing on my personal picks, and those 2 reels are the Kyorim or Leyden Black Knight 2, and then also the Kingdom Micro Monster. Now the reason for that is because I don't have personal experience with those reels, but I've heard some kind of downsides to those reels to begin with as well. Okay, number 1 pick is this reel, and this is the SOLOKING or DOVIELLO Acura. So the reason why this reel is my number 1 pick is because of the fact that this comes in with 2 different gear ratios, a 7.1:1 and an 8.1:1. It comes with 2 spool options as well. So you get a shallow spool, which is the standard spool, and then also they give you a deep spool option that you can purchase. So a lot of flexibility with this reel. The reel also has 11+1 ball bearings. So it has the highest count of ball bearings out of all of the Dark Wolf Ultra variants that I know of, and is very, very smooth as a result. One of the downsides though is that the paint finish is probably not the best. You can kind of see that there's surface inconsistencies, and because of that you can see kind of those imperfections in the paint. That's a small price to pay for the smoothest of all the Dark Wolf Ultra variants, and also a lot of options that you get with this. But the biggest reason why this is my number 1 pick is because this reel is available on Amazon. So if you really wanted to get a reel with prime shipping and also Amazon's great return policy, you could go to search for them on the DOVIELLO store. So that's spelled DOVIELLO, and then just look for DOVIELLO Acura. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below if this video helped you, if you guys picked up any of these reels, if you agree with my choices, if you disagree with my choices. If you like the video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. And with that being said, thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.